Good morning, everybody. My name is James Daniel, and I am the Artificial Intelligence Sales Manager from Data Technology. I am absolutely delighted to welcome so many of you to our webinar today, which is entitled From BI to AI. We are going to explain exactly how you can use artificial intelligence within the Qlik platform. On behalf of everyone at Data Technology, I would just like to say thank you so much for taking the time to join us this morning. We will endeavor to make it worth your while. I am joined on the call today by an affable colleague of mine called Vyas Adhikari. Vyas is the lead data scientist at Data Technology, and he will be handling the technical side of the presentation. Let's have a quick look at today's agenda. So the webinar is broken down into 4 parts. Part 1, what is machine learning? We will discuss the substance behind the hype. Part 2, Vyas will take over and showcase our machine learning solution and prove just how easy it is to integrate with your current Qlik dashboards. Part 3, success stories. Which companies have tried this already? Were they successful? In this part, I'm going to brag about all the great results that our clients are already achieving. And in part 4, we will hold a Q&A. Let us begin. Our economic environment is changing exceptionally quickly. So businesses are having to adapt and react faster than ever before. The good news is that by being a Qlik user, you already have a great foundation in place that will allow you to get value out of your data. This is because Qlik enables businesses to clearly understand what has happened in the past. Businesses can then use that information, coupled with their intuition, to try and predict what will happen in the future. However, making accurate predictions is no longer an act of guesswork. By incorporating artificial intelligence and machine learning into your current Qlik environment, we can give you the actionable insight needed to make accurate strategic business decisions. In this session, we will look at how data technology helps our customers transition from BI to AI. But if there is one thing that I want you to take away from this call, it is the question that is on screen now. What can we predict? What can we predict? This is the ideal mindset for machine learning. Is there something we can predict faster? Is there something we can predict better? And if we had these predictions, what would we actually do with that information? This question is the beginning of every single machine learning journey. And the answer to this question will be the basis of your first use case, which is a specific business problem that we can solve with artificial intelligence and machine learning. Let's have a look at a few definitions. What actually is artificial intelligence? When I think of the phrase artificial intelligence, my mind immediately goes to a scene of robots taking over the world and Will Smith saves us at the last minute. Unfortunately, for any movie heads in the audience, that's not actually what we're going to be discussing this morning. Artificial intelligence is actually just defined as a computer system that can complete a task which would typically require human intelligence. It's that simple. Today, we will be focusing on a subset of artificial intelligence called machine learning. Machine learning is defined as a machine that can learn from the past to predict the future. A machine can predict the future by building a model. The software we are going to show you today is called DataRobot. And the exciting news is that DataRobot is now available as an add-on to your current Qlik environment. DataRobot is a machine which can learn from historical examples to build a model for you that will help you predict the future. Now, I know what you're thinking. James, this is all very interesting, but why on earth should I care? Fortunately, I've built a slide to answer this key question. How can machine learning help Qlik users? There are 3 key benefits. Benefit 1. My team at Data Technology specializes in helping our clients transition from being reactive to being proactive. We are here to help you move from BI to AI. You guys have already gone through the trouble of collecting and visualizing your data. Machine learning is just the next logical step that will help you squeeze every ounce of value out of the data that you have already collected. Benefit 2. Machine learning algorithms are very good at identifying patterns that would otherwise go unnoticed. This is a huge benefit because you can use this information to provide a superior product or service to your clients. Benefit 3. If you can make accurate predictions, you can prioritize the focus of your finite resources. This means that embracing artificial intelligence will provide you with a ruthless competitive advantage that will make you stand out ahead of your competitors. I will now hand over to Vyas for a quick demo.
Thank you, James. Hi, everyone. Great to meet you all. So, James has talked to you about DataRobot and, crucially, how you can start to integrate it with any existing Qlik work or dashboards that you have to make them not just reactive and using historical data to provide insights, but actually generate future predictions so you can anticipate and be proactive in how you address with new challenges. So how does it work? Well, the first stage is you need historical examples. So just like a human would build up experience over time, models need that too. So we take historical examples, and these can be in Qlik or a source data set that Qlik references, and we pass that to DataRobot to train a model that can predict the outcome we are interested in. So that's stage one. We've now got a model that is accurate at predicting the thing we're interested in. We then move to stage two, which is how do we get those predictions into a production environment and into the hands of users who can action them? Again, we can use Qlik. So taking an existing dashboard, we can augment it with future predictions using the model we have built in DataRobot, and the outcome will be predictions and then decisions we can make in the future rather than reacting to the past. So the best way to illustrate this is with an example. So something that we've built as a prototype for the NHS is a patient forecasting machine learning model. Why is this of use to the NHS? Well, lots of reasons. One is being able to anticipate rises and falls in patient demand in hospitals is obviously going to affect the quality of care that the NHS can provide those people. Being able to anticipate those spikes allows them to ensure they're staffed appropriately, that there is enough hospital infrastructure and resource available so that each patient gets the best possible care. There's also a more kind of a financial reason, which is that in the NHS trusts commit to seeing patients within a certain length of time. And they have to meet those targets of seeing all patients within 4 hours, seeing 95% of patients in 4 hours, within 4 hours. And if they don't, then they're subject to fines and breaches of their SLAs. So first up, we might think, okay, so if we're an analyst and we're using Qlik, how can we kind of understand this issue in more detail? We can look at the past. Let's have a look at where we have potentially breached and try to understand what some of those drivers might have been. So, for example, the source of referral, how did the patient arrive, what's the age group of particular patients, are there any patterns here that help us understand, okay, we're seeing a lot of breaches from this type of patient, maybe there's something we can do on a large scale to try and react to that. Again, I'm sure we're all quite familiar with Qlik. We can also then start to consider things on a geographical level. And again, all these data types can be handled by DataRobot machine learning models. And crucially, what this ultimately ends up with is, can we predict when we are in danger of breaching our SLAs and not having enough beds or capacity to deal with patients? This dark brown line is what you would typically see on your standard Qlik dashboard. This is looking at the past. Okay, This is how many patients may breach the SLA. And we can see it's quite spiky, it's quite noisy. What artificial intelligence is doing is it's providing us with this light orange part here, a future prediction for whether we might breach before it happens. So, on the surface, this is a little very small addition to a dashboard, but this is actually the most powerful because this is something that can be actioned on and we can deal with this in advance, both on a large scale level. Maybe we need to do some reorganization of a whole hospital or a whole group of hospitals, but also on a microscopic level. For an individual patient, how can we anticipate their needs and treat them as effectively as possible? And ultimately, this macroscopic view is the buildup of all those individual analyses of particular patients. So let's have a look at a kind of a more individual analysis in practice. So here we have a Qlik dashboard called our what if dashboard. And here we put in our statistics for a particular patient. So let's say we change the age. We can see what is the predicted wait time for that person based on the age, and crucially, what does the model think our next steps are for this patient? Again, this helps people on the ground, the foot soldiers on the front line of the NHS, anticipate needs and react to them accordingly. So this date is a Monday, maybe on a Sunday, we can expect wait times to drop. Things can be less busy on the weekend, but also you may have less hospital capacity as more people are on leave. We can then change the diagnoses. So again, we don't just need structured data fields here. We can have unstructured data such as text fields, and that will adjust, again, a model's prediction. So we can take advantage of a whole broad range of data types to build these predictions. Something that has proven really, really valuable with a lot of our healthcare customers has been this free text, understanding symptoms, understanding people's complaints on the phone. This free text can be analyzed by DataRobot to give accurate predictions as to the state of that patient and a recommended next course of action. So we can see that there are some other fields here. So we can also check, okay, if they're arriving from the major A&E, their wait time tends to be reduced. That makes sense as well, as they've probably got more serious issues and therefore they jump the queue. That's how hospitals do things. They try and prioritize based on seriousness. And also you see if someone's able to walk in versus coming in an ambulance or in another car, then chances are that they're probably not so unwell that they need to be seen immediately. So we're starting to kind of unpick here what factors may affect whether a patient has to wait a long time to get treatment and where they may be admitted. But what's driving these predictions in the back end? So what we actually have here is a couple of sample API calls, and this is illustrating how DataRobot is talking to Qlik. We just set a few variables. So here is our this is our deployed DataRobot model that is listening and waiting for prediction. And here is the data that we're sending that model. So let's jump to DataRobot and see what's going on. Well, what we've got here is in DataRobot, our deployments tab shows us all of our deployed models that are awaiting prediction requests. Our Qlik dashboard is when we adjust the dials on our what if dashboard, is sending that data to DataRobot. DataRobot is sending back a prediction, and that prediction is being displayed here on our dashboard. So let's take a look at this in a bit more detail. Our deployed model, if we go to our service health, we can see that actually this hour where I've just been giving this demo, we've seen that this model has now received some prediction requests. These prediction requests have come from our Qlik dashboard, and DataRobot has generated its responses and pushed it back into Qlik. What you also may have noticed is actually when we update something here, three things change. We have a predicted wait time, we have an admitted or not admitted label, and we have a discharge state. These are actually three independent models that are all working together to give us an overall picture of a patient. And we can see those three models here. We have our inpatient indicator predictions model, we have our wait time prediction model, and we have our departure destination model as well. So these are three models and they've been deployed and they're now talking to Qlik. But how did we get these models in the first place? So we're almost kind of working backwards here. In order to first deploy the model, we had to build it. If we select this model, this takes us to the DataRobot model leaderboard. We can see here that we have a top performing model at the top of our leaderboard. And this is ranked by how accurate this model is on our problem. And we've deployed this model, and this is the one that is now generating those predictions. We can understand this model in more detail by going to the Describe tab, which shows us everything that's going on from data all the way out to prediction. We can go to the Understand tab, and in Feature Impact, we can see what are the most important factors at determining what this patient's outcomes are going to be. And we can see that overwhelmingly important is that primary diagnosis. Now, you may get some of these insights from Qlik, right? Qlik is going to be quite helpful at telling you about bivariate analyses. Okay, how does this single variable affect this other variable? But what machine learning can do, which is something James alluded to, is it can, from that soup of all those different factors, it can really find that optimum recipe for predicting your outcome of interest as accurately as possible. As someone with years of NHS experience, could definitely maybe come up with these 6 or 7 key reasons as to why a patient gets seen quickly or not. But machine learning finds that optimum recipe, how much of each factor contributes to a patient's outcomes. Now, these are all kind of categorical fields, but DataRobot also can take advantage of text fields. So we can see here, this is a word cloud for our diagnosis field, and we can see that key phrases that appear in red lead to a much higher likelihood of high wait times versus these phrases that were in blue. We can also see on the right for this, DataRobot in action. So we have our current top model in the leaderboard, but DataRobot is running further models to see, do we have a more accurate model that is able to beat the performance of our current winner? I can crank up my number of workers from 2 all the way up to, let's say, 20. And what DataRobot is now doing is it is testing up to 20 different models at the same time on this problem. This parallelization means that you can iterate faster and arrive at optimum results much, much quicker, taking advantage of all the different machine learning approaches DataRobot has built within it. For example, some of you who have done some machine learning before may recognize XGBoost. We also have DMTK models, Python models, and somewhere as well, we even have some neural networks and more kind of flashy and sophisticated approaches too. So using DataRobot, you can leverage the entire open source data science community to find the model that best suits your problem. Looking at one final tool, which we've touched on, in our feature effects tab, this doesn't just tell you what is important, it tells you how is it important. So we can see, we know that the A&E stream that the patient comes through is an important factor, but how? And DataRobot gives you these partial dependence plots that tell you the isolated relationship between this variable and your target of interest. This again is a step up from conventional BI approaches, where if you compare two variables, you haven't necessarily stripped out the effects of other variables when looking at that relationship. But with machine learning and partial dependence approaches, we can get a much more trustworthy picture of how this individual variable affects our individual outcome of interest. Now, last thing to show in DataRobot is these first two graphs, the feature impact, which shows what's important, and the feature effects, which shows us how is it important. These are still macroscopic views of the problem. And these are not necessarily actionable in that immediate daily sense, right? But machine learning is all about those precision insights. And in our prediction explanations tab, DataRobot shows you for individual patients what their expected wait time is, and crucially, why. Why does it tell that? So we can see that this is a non-coded diagnosis. And the fact that this patient hasn't necessarily, really been properly assessed is not contributing well to their wait time, meaning that they're very likely to have to wait longer. We can see that they've come from the resus stream, which is causing, again, a lot of patients to have to wait. And we can see that the time of day that they arrived was at 5 a.m. So again, that's usually going to be a time where there aren't so many staff. And so maybe if we can anticipate an increase in patients at that time of day, a hospital can act accordingly by making sure more people are available to deal with this influx of patients. So to sum up, we've seen how a Qlik dashboard with interactive Qlik dashboard can talk to a DataRobot model, which is deployed in DataRobot, in the DataRobot deployments tab. So we've enabled that connectivity, and we've also briefly touched on how does DataRobot build models and make them interpretable. So at this point, I'm going to stop there and hand back over to James.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Vyas. So let's talk about the fun stuff, which is really the success stories. Please remember the beginning point of every machine learning journey, which is this question: what can we predict? Every single company has to ask themselves this question before they can even begin getting the benefits of artificial intelligence and machine learning. You will know that with Qlik, thousands of organizations across all industries have uncovered the value of incorporating predictive analytics as a part of their business process already. Whether it is with fraud detection, customer churn, market basket analysis, or even just traditional demand forecasting, machine learning has already been utilized both natively and in conjunction with other advanced analytics technologies to solve the most complex predictive use cases in the market. You can see from this slide that there really is something for everyone. Some more specific success stories that we can quickly discuss are to follow. So one of our clients is a big US retailer, the biggest bricks and mortar retailer in America. And they asked themselves a question. They said, what can we predict? And in 2019, they decided that it would be very beneficial for them if they could predict the exact products that they would sell in their stores on Black Friday. This is the day at the end of October where there are lots of offers and demand is exceptionally high. And it really defines the success of a retailer during the Christmas period. They built a model using our software, which integrated into their BI systems, that forecasted with 95% accuracy the exact products that would be purchased on Black Friday 3 months before Black Friday actually happened. Let me say that again. They knew 3 months before Black Friday with 95% accuracy what all of us lot are going to buy. It's remarkable. Now, this saving was delivered essentially by the BI team, but they do so by informing other business processes. So they can make sure that their warehouses are staffed effectively. They can make sure that their warehouses have the right products in, which means not only can someone buy a great value air conditioner from one of these stores on Black Friday, but it can also be delivered within 24 hours, which is really good for customer satisfaction. This ended up saving them $3 million in 1 week. A company you may have heard of is called Lenovo. They're also a client. They sell IT hardware. I'm using one of their computers right now, renowned for their exceptional battery life. And because of this positive reputation, they often have a problem, which is that their resellers, the companies and stores who resell their computers, often run out of stock. Lenovo asked themselves a question: what can we predict? And they decided to attempt to predict when their resellers would go out of stock. Now, why is this important? Well, clearly your customers cannot buy something if it is not there. But also, if you have too much of something, if you overstock, then your product either perishes if you're working, say, in a grocery store, or you end up having to discount the product as a retailer would, which not only means you lose the profit margin, but you also end up taking a loss on the product overall. These are just two really quick and easy examples of how massive companies have integrated artificial intelligence into their BI team to dramatically improve the accuracy of the predictions they're making and deliver really high ROI straight away. The key thing to note about this use case is that it only took 3 days to deliver. Traditional data science products are very challenging and very lengthy. It's a very manual process. Having some software you can integrate into your current dashboard that automates that laborious model building process is invaluable and will give you a big step up on the competition. A final thing to note is that there really are machine learning use cases for every industry. So VS and myself at Data Technology, we work very heavily with clients in the transport, logistics, and retail space, but there are far more use cases beyond that. Anytime you can make a prediction, we can help you use the data you have to make a more informed prediction about the future. I think that is a good point to end on. I'd like to say thank you so much for your time. Take care and have a great one. Goodbye.